SML podcast, Playing the Field, Field Zone 007. Today we're co-hosted by, it's the Faz. Faz, how's it going, buddy?
Yo, how you doing? What's going on?
Bro, it's good to have you. We've been talking about this for a minute to do a little collab. It's good to have you on the show. Talk about your season so far. What's going on with the Buffalo Bills?
A bit of the same old. Obviously, last season I kind of established myself as a team that's pretty much only going to pass. That hasn't changed at all. Still can't find much of a consistent run game, but thankfully it's fun putting the ball up in the air. Josh Allen is a freak, and to this point it hasn't bit us too bad. We'll see if it gets us in the playoffs again, but for now all is well. Nice little 11-3, sitting at the top of the AFC East.
So a couple things I noticed. Meats and the Dolphins are admin Meats is 9-5. He's kind of silent in the chat. What do you think about that? He's not as chirpy as he usually is, at least not to me. I haven't really seen him a whole lot.
Yeah, he hasn't talked much. I mean, I know Daddy Bezos has him driving around quite a bit, so that might play a factor. Part of it is I don't know if he just knows maybe he doesn't have too much of a shot in the division, and so there's not a lot of
Things to
last year
talk
he
about.
had him and Dump. What's that?
Not much to talk about.
Yeah, there just might not be a whole ton of of content for him. I know he's fighting for his playoff life right now. Big win over Dan recently, so that was huge for him.
So let's talk about, the Dolphins not doing too great. They're still in it, 9-5, but to get the wild card in the AFC is really tough. He just got the big win over Dan. He got the win over DW, 46-39 over the Bengals. Still 9-5. Pretty good season, but maybe not good enough to get into playoffs. What have you noticed about Meats' gameplay this cycle?
Um, it's pretty similar. It's a little different because Tua's not fast.
Okay.
So I think he's turning the ball over a little bit more, and he stalls out a lot more because he doesn't have those, the Kyler bailouts quite as much. When you can get in his face and you get him rattled, he starts, he's pretty reckless with the ball. So I've certainly noticed that. Obviously, Jalen Waddle is dangerous. He can score from anywhere,
Sure.
and he's definitely taken advantage of that for sure. That guy's a freak.
So when you look at another division mate, he made a lot of noise last season. A guy named DW. He's 5-9 right now with the Jets. This is definitely not the start that he expected. What happened to DW?
I think Bomber brought it up, I believe, on a show, or maybe it was a broadcast commentary game. He's a little predictable. You got to watch Njoku. You got to watch Hunt, and
Right.
that if you can get him to put the ball in the air, he'll
Cough
make
it
some
up.
mistakes. Yeah, 13 touchdowns to 27 picks with Zach Wilson. So DW has an incredible defense.
Right.
Very underrated user on defense for sure. Once he cleans that up, he's going to be very scary. But for now, it's just he gets down, he gets in his head, he gets frustrated, and once he does that, things start to snowball on him and fall apart.
Who's been your surprise team this cycle so far in terms of success?
In terms of success, I'm gonna roll with Noel. I think he miss playoffs? I think he made playoffs last season. It looks like he's going to get there again. But what I've been really impressed about is, he took Chris Carson, who's really
Right.
not all that good. He has him up at X Factor, and I mean he's like one of the best running backs in the league right now with the abilities he got. Noel's offense is honestly really dangerous. That's a guy that I'm definitely happy he's over in the NFC because he can do some damage.
Yeah, he's definitely. Like I said, I think I mentioned the last podcast with Prime. He's kind of the comeback player of the year for me, anyway. A guy that got shit on a lot last year in the shows, and this year he's been pretty consistent. So it'd be good to see if he can finish out strong. And he's got Dump in his division, so that's kind of tough to do when Dump's got his head on straight.
Yeah.
I want to talk about team success versus having a good roster. Because to me, to be able to play defense, at least from my experience playing in like an offline franchise, online, and with KO versus my SML team, I play a lot better defense when I play with a good roster or rosters a little bit closer to what my team is. But defensively in SML, I don't have success. It seems like the game has shifted to where if you want success, you got to have the good power backs like Henry and Chubb, where they're the X Factor running backs. You got to have the great X Factor quarterbacks. It's all predicated more towards having the good players instead of being really good schematically. And obviously, the guys that like you and Bomber, Spade, the guys that have the understanding of how the game works and stick skills, obviously will catapult it more than just having a general knowledge of football. Do you feel like it's more geared towards the having a good roster versus years past?
I do. I think we started to see that shift a little bit in Madden 20 when they introduced the abilities,
Right.
and they've clearly made a point of the best players are going to play like the best players, and I think that's a good thing. Because I think roster development should matter. You shouldn't be able to just be good with a whole bunch of 50 overall scrubs.
Sure.
So I think it's a good thing, but for sure, defensively especially, you notice big time
Yeah.
when you don't have
Your
studs.
front seven.
Yes. Oh, it's huge. I don't get plays in the run game at all if Ed Oliver isn't making them. So you can tell secondary as well. Those guys with the stars, they just jump routes a lot better than guys without them, even if the abilities aren't necessarily great. And then God forbid if they do end up with an acrobat or a zone hawk, those guys are they're monsters.
Now, I don't really like to shit on people on my shows, but today
So this is not a Bomber production.
this is not a Bomber production. So we're going to try to give constructive criticism. This is going to be called WTF. What the fuck? And
Okay.
what the fuck is going on with the Bucks? They're 3-11, not doing very good on offense. Paulie's struggling, and this is a guy that came out hot. TB12, that's his daddy. He rides them nuts. Tommy B. But 21 points per game, 27th in the league, 31st on the ground, not good enough. You got to be able to run the ball. Giving up 27 points per game with a very good Bucks defensive roster, and yards per game is only allowed 301. Passing yards per game only 5 or 5th with 191. He's just not doing too good. What's going on with the Bucks?
I think this one is a pretty blatant tank job. I think
I
Paulie.
think so.
Yeah, I think he was pretty busy early on. I think he took a couple L's earlier in the season, and he just looked at his team and he said, "All right, you know what? I have two choices here. I can either try and go crazy and win out and sneak into the playoffs here, or I'm looking at a very good team with a quarterback that's probably not going to be usable for more than another season. I know he's a free agent after this year. He's probably thinking, I've got Spooky's pick. We're going to tank my pick. We're going to take a run at a quarterback." He's doing a very effective job of it. If you watch him play, it seems like he goes through drives where it's like, all right, he looks dangerous. And then the next drive, he's like lateraling the ball to nobody. And you're like, well, okay.
I haven't watched Paulie this year, but like you said, early on, the tough losses. Lost to Bomber 38-20, 28-24 to Spades. 43-26 win over Fig. Not a very good player. We got to win. The win over Spooky, who's not been good, not a good roster. Got thumped by your boy, Mythical Hedgecook, 49-7. Big win over the Falcons, not been very good, 28-14. Close loss there to NYT, 29-26. Had a loss against the Rams, who are kind of like right in the middle of the pack team. Kind of an ugly loss to QP, 35-18. A loss to Woods, 27-14. So maybe this is where the tank job begins. Close loss to Dump, 32-24. A loss to the Falcons now, 22-15. Prime beats them 21-17. That was a game that I caught bits and pieces of. And that's where I'll say I don't see the tank job. And then a close loss to Noel at 27-24. So
yeah, I think
I can't say it's a tank job.
That game against NYT, I think, was the one. It was a close game. He was in it the whole time. At that point, he was still right around 500.
Right.
Still a very good shot at his division. I think when he lost that one, he then looked at the schedule. He said, all right, I have Q coming up. I have Dump coming up. I have Prime coming up.
Right.
This could be rough. This might be the season. And, like you said, he showed flashes in the Chiefs game where, he was locking Prime up. And then, he would just come out and, give up a big, coverage beater to Tyreek Hill. And it's like, we know Paulie's smarter than that. He's not, the guy in this league that's going to give up bombs to Hill, just, freebies.
No, he plays sound football. He's Coach Paulie. He's at the water cooler talk. He's going to tell you how to do the X's and O's. We really appreciate that. But, he's not doing what we expected. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about one feet-looking freak known as Matt. Had a great game just now with Najee Harris. 3 tutties, 146 yards on the ground. Obviously, nobody's really contending for the AFC North. Bomber 13-1 ran away with it last season. He won the Super Bowl 13-1. Ravens 9-5. The Steelers 8-6. The Bengals 4-9. Can anyone chase Bomber? Can anyone out there do it in the AFC North?
The Spades and the Ravens can. He'll have
Sure.
the roster to do it. He'll have, the explosive offense to do it. Bomber has always been, extremely elite in the regular season.
Right.
So, chances are pretty good. They're mostly playing for the wild card. Everybody else in that division. I think it's possible, especially. I mean, Bomber is going to have rough schedules every season as long as he keeps winning. He's going to be pretty much locked into playing. Myself, one of Prime or Dan. No matter what. Plus, first place is not the best. You're going to get the best player in the other conference, whatever division you get. So he'll continually have tough schedules. Obviously, he wins a lot of regular season games. Last season he won pretty much all of them, and then Super Bowl included. So it's going to be a tough play. I'm not sure that Matt has the offense for it. I think that Spades could challenge him, but he's going to need to really tighten up on defense if he's going to want to do that.
I want to do a shout out section. Who are you going to shout at?
All right, who am I going to shout out? I gave some love to Finns earlier on first and goal, but I'll give him another mini shout out. Keep fighting the good fight. I believe in you. Maybe it's just me, but I do. I'll shout out Noel again as he's tied for tops in the NFC West here with Dump. If he finishes out strong, and we could see a new champ in the NFC West. And I know a lot of people were pretty much declared that,
Right.
myself included. Dump wasn't going to lose one, so that would be cool. And then I'll shout out all you boys in my AFC South. Heck of a division. Love watching it. Everybody in striking different distance. I'm very, very tuned in on who wins that one.
I'm going to shout out my division mate, Mike FML. And here's
There
why.
he is.
Here's
Boy.
why. Here's why. I'm going to tell you why fast. He's leading the league with 3,991 yards through the air. He's got 31 tutties. Okay, pretty respectable. My guy's also got 33 interceptions.
Well, you know what? He's putting it up there. He's living and dying through the air.
Yeah, and he got 1,000 yards with Jonathan Taylor, who in this Madden could be an absolute savage, dude.
Yeah.
I appreciate the explosiveness on offense. I mean, he played a really good game when I played him. Love the passing game. Do not love the interceptions. But I give him a shout out. If you could cut down them interceptions, you could definitely run away with the division, dude. You got the roster. You got the passing ability. Just at times, the decision-making and your timing is not the best.
I have to ask with Mike.
Yeah.
What is the deal? Why can't he play against ZZ?
Why can't he play the game at all, or why can he not beat ZZ?
Both. It seems like he just physically cannot play the game against ZZ. Like, I'm looking at, all of his scores through the season here. We're looking at, 35, 31, 40, 34.
Right.
And then he plays against ZZ. He scores, 17 points through 2 games against the Texans. What's the deal with that?
ZZ is a really interesting player. I haven't watched the games that those two play. Every game I've played against ZZ, if it's an inside zone, a halfback dive, or a stretch, every run turns out to be an outside run with ZZ. And he's to the races guy with the run, and that's been really dangerous. Defensively, he's very interesting because he's opportunistic on defense. His numbers are shit-ass garbage defensively, but he's definitely an opportunist. He'll get his turnovers, he gets his sacks, and it's just that he's a day late and a dollar short. A lot of these guys, as Prime and I talked about in a private conversation earlier, struggle from the fact that the user linebacker's been nerfed. You're not able to get them Oshie, lurks all the time, and a lot of guys just haven't adapted. They're still in a Madden 18, Madden 19 mindset on offense and defense. And I think that's a little bit of what Mike and ZZ both have going on. And if I had to say why he struggles against ZZ, to answer your question, I've been a little off the mark here. I think it's the running game. I think it's the fact that he'll have them ball control drives, and maybe that's what's going on in those games.
Yeah, no, definitely. That makes sense.
Just a thought. I'm not sure. What do you think about Prime? He was a guy that was pretty uneven last season. Started off this season a little rough. Right now he's 12-3, playing from what I've seen, I haven't watched the entire stream, but playing a lot more like he has the last 3 or 4 cycles, where it's kind of ball control offense. A lot more checkdowns. I'm seeing the running game start to go. He's got 1,600 yards with his rookie. I think the guy's rookie, Brian Whitfield, on the ground, 23 tutties. Mahomes, 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Still needs to clean that up a little bit. And Tyreek leading it with 1,300 yards and 15 tutties. To me, it seems like he's gone ball control. Defense, we saw, I know he got criticized for trading, which I wouldn't have traded Hardman, but trading Hardman for that the DN. I saw
Cam
him
Jordan.
Cam Jordan make some rushes, getting in on the pass rush a little bit. Is that what you're seeing, the same thing, or what do you think for Prime turning around, and what are his chances of getting a Super Bowl this season?
Yeah, so Prime is the best team in the AFC right now. And the reason for that is, like you said, you talked about, a bit more of that ball control offense.
Right.
Brian Whitfield has made him 10 times harder to play defense against. Last season, we played, and I kind of clapped his cheeks a little bit. Yeah, a little bit in season 1. And the reason for that was because, my defensive game plan was I'm going to give him whatever he wants.
On the run.
Yeah, up and down the field, that's fine. And then as soon as we get in, the 20s, he can't beat me with all that speed anymore.
Right.
And it worked perfectly. He moved down the field at will, and then he got in the red zone. And he stalled out a couple times, and that's all it needed. And I'd be okay. I tried that same exact strategy again this season, and Brian Whitfield just ate my soul. The guy destroyed me. He's got spin cycle now. He's like 94 speed, and just that threat in the backfield makes him very difficult because you have to play off of Hill. But that means that he can put Whitfield on the same side, check him down underneath, and you've got decisions to make. So, you talked about the int numbers. They're still a little higher than you'd like to see from Mahomes, but he's so dangerous with that it's very tough to come out and play, a whole game plan. You need to rely on him making those mistakes.
I want to do a silent, and Christmas time's coming, right? So we got to do a silent night, holy night kind of spot here on the show. And my silent night is WTF, NYT. The dude's 10-5, numbers not great on offense or defense, kind of middle of the road, but he's had some really good games. He's got 10 wins, putting up a lot of points almost every game, other than, obviously he hasn't made that elite tier yet. He also shit the bed against the Eagles. But putting up a lot of points, being a tough opponent for a lot of us out there. I think that, I'm not saying that he's a Super Bowl team, but I think he's definitely a good guy that's going to push for possibly the NFC Championship. What do you think about the football team, and who's your silent night of this year? Just kind of like a random guy that's not making like a lot of chat noise, maybe not getting a whole lot of shout outs in other shows, but just kind of getting things done.
Yeah, so the football team's interesting. Obviously, no quarterback there,
right?
And it really hurts.
Yeah.
I expected the defense to be a little bit better, but I think NYT's starting to figure it out a little more. I think Chase Young might have just gotten a dev game to make him a little better. So the defense could be getting a little more dangerous. He just has to play very conservative with Jordan Love, and that's kind of the bummer for him right now. This is not quite the Madden to do that. If this was last Madden, he'd be, in pretty great shape. He's run the ball with Gibson and take his checkdowns. It's not quite as easy, and I think that's hurting him a little bit. I do think he has potential, though, to make some noise in the NFC. NFC's wide open, so that's, it's certainly fun to watch. For my silent night, let's roll with, I think I'm probably going to stick NFC as well. I think I'm going to roll with D Muse, kind of the silent killer. He didn't talk a lot last year. He made his Super Bowl against Prime, probably should have won it, ended up choking it away.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a dangerous player last year. His defense is worse without the Panthers, so it's
for sure
interesting to see how he's going to manage that. But he's playing pretty well with Kellen Mond. Dalvin Cook he might even be better this year than he was last year. I just played against him, and he is shifty as anything. He gets the ball, and you're in some trouble. So he's managing Mond well. Only 14 picks to 22 touchdowns. He's got to improve the defense a little bit. but he's got a dangerous offense. He's got a lot of pieces there. He sneaks in the playoffs. He could be a guy that you're not thinking about too much because you're worried about QP, you're worried about dump, and then you've got this game against DMUs. You don't think about it much, and all of a sudden he's
Right.
got a 2-score lead on you in the second half, and you're like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, he definitely put up points. Looking at the schedule, interesting player. Really, now that you brought it up, you got Dalvin Cook, you got Jefferson, and he's got some pieces on defense. A lot closer games though than what he played with his cover 3 predicated defense last cycle.
Hmm. That defense was a pain. I hated it.
It was tough. It was tough. I'm gonna cut it short here, Faz. I know you got to go to work, and I like keeping my stuff around 20 to 25 minutes. We're just over 20 minutes. Appreciate you hopping on, buddy. It was fun. I think some people will enjoy it. Do you got any closing thoughts or statements you want to throw out there?
Nah, just happy to be back in the swing of things. Hoping to get a couple quicker advances here. Obviously, holiday weekend, everybody busy, for good reason. But excited to get back in the swing of things as we get down the home stretch here, and it should be a fun playoff. I'm hoping to see you there.
Probably not, but we
Probably not.
we
Well,
chuck away games, bub. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate my co-host Faz for hopping on. We're going to snap this one away. Check us out, simmaddenleague.com, dailyleagues.com/SML. Follow me on Twitch, FieldJournal007. We commentate, we commentary our games. You want to check out Faz and I.
baby.
We like to do it up big. We're a whole ass vibe. Check us out, boys. Like, subscribe. Take care. Have a great day.